A warm welcome to this platform. So in this video, I just want to show you that is section B questions that have ever come from 2017 to 2024 GCE. So we are going to look at all the essay questions that have ever come, not necessarily answering them, but just to look or to have a look at the questions. And of course, as we go on in this lesson, I'll get also to predict or to look at some of the possible questions that you might expect even as you write biology on Tuesday. So this first part that you are seeing, the question is from 2017. If you have the past papers, you can confirm. So what you should know that they're starting from 2017 GCE all the way to 2024. Okay. So one thing that I should say before we even begin is that you should know how to present your work on this particular section if we are to get some marks. So since this is the first question, we are going to look at the instruction. What are we required to do? Okay, so answer any three questions from this section. All answers must be presented in sentences and paragraphs. Now, if you are not aware, just right here, I have a recording, should be a live session, where I explained on how to handle essay questions. You might want to check on my live videos. So you have to present your work in sentences and paragraph. And the other thing that I mentioned is that when you are presenting your work, do not write a title. For example, explain how the internal part of the leaf are adapted to photosynthesis. Then if you pick that you're answering question 6, you even write the title as you start answering from the answer sheet, because this is a question part. So you don't write under the question part. No, there's a separate answer booklets where you present your answer. You just have to number them. So you're not going to write this as your title, then you start answering. This is the common mistake that most of you are likely to make. If you do that, you might get yourself a 0. And also the other thing, as you start writing, do not bullet your answer. They are saying full sentences. By now, you know what a sentence is. So a sentence, you know what a sentence is, and a paragraph. So paragraphing also, that is where the problem is in most of you. So do not bullet or put stars or numbers 1, 2 as you are presenting your points. If you do that, or if you do this, just know that you've earned yourself a 0 on this section. So do not do that. So paragraphs and sentences. Paragraphs you can indent or you can leave space. Indenting, let's say this is a line, a margin line. You start from inside here, you write your part, then if you end to the last part, if you still have something to write, you start from the start there until you write a paragraph. Then of course you start another one. If you start a new paragraph, also start from inside. You start writing, you continue like that. That is what we call indenting. But if you do not want to indent, you can choose to start. If this is the margin, you can start from the start here. You write. If this is the paragraph, you leave a line in between. Okay, and I guess your answer booklet are just more like books. They have lines. So you leave at least one line. Then you start your next paragraph without indenting. So do not mix indenting and the spacing. That is something that I shouldn't even explain much, because that is taught in English. So that is how you should present your work. Now, if you do not write a title, how do you then present your answers? So in the case you've picked question 6, you just write 6 or question 6. Then if it is in Roman numeral 1, 2, you can just say 6. Okay, outside the margin 6. Then you write, if it's A, you are answering, you start answering right here. You are done with A, you go to B, you start answering just that without even putting a title. I guess if you go through that recording or that live session, it is more detailed. Back to the main business. What we want is to look at the questions that have ever come from 2017 to 2024. And of course, I said I'll get also to give some possible questions that I feel you might find them. I feel, not that they are there, but I feel. If you happen to find them, then well and good. So in this particular year, the first question was, explain the internal part of the leaf. Explain how the internal part of the leaf is adapted for photosynthesis. Look at this. 12 marks. You are going to explain how the internal part of the leaf is adapted for photosynthesis. So, what do you need to talk about? You talk about the internal part. Okay, I gave this question to some of you, and all what you gave me was the external part, such as it has blood, lamellae, and all that. No. Talk about inside. Okay, how is it adapted for photosynthesis? Then question 2, that is question 7. Explain why. So the question that came here, photosynthesis. So take note of this. If you do not know this part, make sure that you go through it. You might save yourself. Explain why. 1. A person with blood group AB are referred to as universal donor or donors. Then a person with blood group A cannot donate blood to a person with blood group B. So that was the question. The second, that is 7 question. Now the problem again, let me just explain this. It might seem to be more like a joke, but this is what most of you think. A question is the whole of this one. If you pick 7, you answer A, B up to where it is ending. In this case, it's ending at B. Now some of you might think that when you pick a question, let's say on 7, you just pick one question, that is Roman numeral 1. Then you pick this one, or you pick A and B. These are 2 questions. No, the whole of this is one question. So if you pick 7, you are saying you are going to answer all these 3, or you are capable of answering all these 3 questions. Okay, on 7, and stay up to the end, because I'll get also to tell you how you organize your work before you even start writing, to avoid missing out some points. Then question 8 was, describe the production of adenosine triphosphate, that is ATP, during respiration. Describe the production of adenosine triphosphate during respiration. Then suggest ways in which respiration is important to living things. This is things. Then the other question, compare and contrast the respiratory surface of human and fish. So this topic, let me just say, this topic, I've not seen it much featuring in the questions. So mark this. This is one of the topic that you might expect to feature on the essay question. Might expect. But it would be better if you, all the questions, all the topics that we've looked at here, you go through. So this is on respiration, so you might want to check out on respiration. Then question 9 was, explain the advantages and disadvantages of vegetative propagation. Explain the advantages and disadvantages of vegetative propagation. This is only reproduction. So look at how the question comes on reproduction. So you might want to check out this information. If you know it already, well and good. Then describe the processes of fertilization in flowering plants. Describe the process of fertilization in flowering plant. So this question also, although I've seen a question also where you are asked to describe the functions of the flower, that is one of the question. Then also fertilization in this one. So also this part, you need to know it. Okay. Then question 10 was, using a named pond as an example, describe the feature of an ecosystem. Describe the feature of an ecosystem. Then explain the effect of agriculture on the ecosystem. So this question on question 10, normally question 10, but this time around anyway they come 1 up to 5. So the last question, normally if you find the question, if it's not on ecosystem, then you are going to find it's on population, soil, conservation, those parts. But we are going to see what came in 2024 so that we can determine what is coming. So these 3 parts are most likely to come on the last question, although there are some changes this time around. But you can bet, you can These 3 topics, if you are to go through, you expect one of the topic featuring on this part. Then let us go to this particular year, and I guess this one is 2017 GCE, because they are, 2017 school certificate, because they are moving GCE school certificate, GCE school certificate. On this particular part, still the instruction was answer any 3 questions from this section. All answers should be in complete sentences and paragraphs. So the way you present your work, it is sentences and paragraphs. Okay. The first question here was identify the cause of infertility in human beings. Describe how healthy pregnancy. So this one, describing the causes of infertility, was 6 marks. Describe how the healthy pregnancy could be maintained, 4 marks. Describe the safe childbirth, 2 marks. So this is on reproduction in human. You need to know this part, okay? There's a question also that came, we are going to see that, where you're asked to describe menstruation or menstruation period. So all those questions, you need to know them. Then question 7, explain the functions of the following nerve cells: the sensory neuron, motor neuron, relay neuron. Then B, and for these 3, 6 marks, which means you describing this first one, 2 marks, 2 marks, 2 marks. Okay, so when answering these, you are going to write A, then Roman numeral 1, you answer, Roman numeral 2, you answer, Roman numeral 3, you answer. Now, there are those people that like underlining answers. I've seen learners that like underlining answers with pencil. Why do you do that? So, don't do that. Just write, okay? B, describe giving examples in each of the cases. 1, spinal reflex and conditioned reflex. So this one also, for some time, I've not seen this particular part. So all this is on the nervous system. Okay. So this one, 6 marks. Then question 8 was describe the antagonistic action of the muscles in the iris. Describe the antagonistic action of the muscles in the iris. Then B, compare and contrast exoskeleton and endoskeleton, 6 marks. Describe the joint, one joint disorder, 2 marks. So this is on skeletal system, is something that you have to know. So one of the importance of this recording is not to make you feel behind in terms of revision, but just simply to give you an idea of the questions that you might expect. I can assure you that these questions that we are looking at here, just by looking at them as you study, you have in mind that I've seen this question, I need to know this information. That is how the brain catch the information. Okay. Then question 9, define the term biodiversity. So defining the term biodiversity, 2 marks. State the importance of biodiversity of organism in an area, 4 marks. Then describe the economic reason for maintaining biodiversity. So this part on biodiversity is one of the part that you expect on the last question. Okay, so this part you have to know it, because I think last year, 2024, this year, what came was population. So biodiversity is one of the questions that you expect on question 9 or question 5 or question 4 this time around. So this topic, in other words, you need to know it, biodiversity. And this is one of the topics that you get marks for free, because some of the things that you write are just general knowledge, more especially this one, economic reason for maintaining biodiversity. Okay, if you do, this one is easy. Okay, so biodiversity, one of the topic that you should look at. Okay, then this one, or this particular year, should be 2018, because we've looked at 2 so far. So this one should be 2018 GCE. With the help of a diagram, distinguish between monocot and dicot. So this one is on growth. With the aid of the diagram. And I guess you know what it means. So what it means is that you're going to put up diagrams, then now that is of a monocot and a dicot seed. So it means they want you to know also how to draw those and labeling them. Then you write something. So 6 marks for this one. Then B, describe ways in which respiration is important to living organisms and the rest of the biosphere. That is 3 marks. Explain the industrial application of respiration. Like I said, respiration is one of the topics that you need to know, because for some time I've not seen it featuring on the essay questions. Okay? Then question 7, explain the meaning of the term hormone. That is 3 marks. Compare and contrast the nerve and endocrine system. That is 5 marks. Then describe the role of a skin as a sense organ. 4 marks. So this was question 7. Okay, so this is on hormones. That is the endocrine system. So the endocrine system is the shortest topic that you need also to pass through as you revise. Explain the term growth. 3 marks. Describe the condition necessary for germination. Distinguish between epigeo and hypogeo germination. Then question 9. Explain the dangers of having multiple sexual partners. Describe ways of safe sexual practices. Discuss the causes of stigma to people living with HIV and AIDS. Briefly describe the 2 ways of reducing discrimination of people living against HIV and AIDS. This question is general knowledge because as we talk, HIV is one of the prominent disease that we have out there, and if we are not infected, then you are affected. And of course, there are a lot of information out there, so it's more like you can just handle it with general knowledge. Imagine just looking at dangers of having multiple partners. This one is general knowledge. Okay, so the dangers of having multiple sexual partners, what are the dangers? Okay, then question 10, describe how the carbon is recycled with an ecosystem, within an ecosystem. So on this particular part, there are 3 cycles that you need to know. That is the carbon cycle, that is cycles in the biosphere. Carbon cycle, you need to know how to describe it, and of course that diagrams. Either in paper 1 or paper 2, you might find it. Especially paper 2 paper 2 section A, I've not seen the cycle in the biosphere, that is for some time. So carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, and also oxygen cycle. To it also add water cycle. But I think the trick one is nitrogen cycle. These other are simple. So you need to know how to describe how carbon is recycled, nitrogen is recycled, and also oxygen is recycled. How do you do it? You start by writing, describing how this, or what are the processes that add carbon into the atmosphere, what are those that remove carbon into the atmosphere. Then you put up a diagram. Then you would have described. The whole 8 mark is yours. Explain how the accumulation of non-biodegradable materials like plastic can be prevented. Non-biodegradable, they cannot be destroyed by biological means such as plastics. How can they be prevented? Okay, that is just general knowledge. Then if we come to this particular year, I've lost count, but in this one, what came is that is question 6. Explain the meaning of each of the following. Good health, then disease. With named examples, explain the following types of diseases: pathogenic diseases, social diseases. So on diseases, though this year 2024, there was a question I think on this one, but the other part of disease still, you can still find the questions. Okay, especially the parts on immunity, you need to look at it also. Types of immunity, all those. Then question 7, describe the mechanism involved in the movement of water from the soil up to the leaves in a plant. This one, I even have the recording just here. I did explain how water moves from the ground up to the top. Then explain the use of water in plants. So this is on transporting plants. And transporting plants, I've done quite a number of videos, so you can just go through. And to make it easy for you to revise since you're writing tomorrow, I've even come up with a playlist. So if you just search, I've come up with a playlist of which there are a lot of recording that I've ever made, all of them in one. You can just just play and of course listen to most of. Then explain the use of water in plants. Then question C, explain how a leaf is adapted to prevention of excessive loss of water. Then question 8, describe the function of the forebrain. hinge-brain. So on the brain, I think for some time the questions have been missing. So you might want also to take this one seriously as you revise. So you need to know the parts of the brain, that is the whole brain, the parts and the functions. Okay? So this one I emphasize. Then B, describe the effect of abuse of drugs on nervous system. This one is easy because if you do take civic education, this is one of the topics that you find there on drug abuse or substance abuse. Explain the effect of tetanus infection in a human being. So also this one, consider, that is as you go through this part, also consider looking at it. Then question 9, explain the meaning of the term osmoregulation. How does the skin regulate both temperature on the cold and the hot day? I think the 2024, there was a question on homeostasis. So either way, you might want to look at it as well. Then question 10, describe the undesirable effect of population. So like I said previously, or in the 2024, there was a question on population, but this is something that you cannot ignore, because sometimes even as we predict that this might not come, the questions are repeated. Okay, it's more like they work on psychology. So the questions can be repeated just exactly the way they are. So population is something that you shouldn't leave behind. Suggest the measure that could be taken to prevent pollution. Oh, this is pollution, please, not population. Describe the undesirable effect of pollution. So pollution also, it has not features for some time. And looking at the season we are in, pollution could be one of the favorite topic for the examiner. So just to emphasize on this one also, you need to keep or to have it at the back of your mind. I know I've talked of most of the topics being possible topics, but we just have to look at it. What I'm using to analyze all these things is looking at the season we are in, and also we look at how often questions have come and those that have not been part of the exam for some time. Then in this particular year, the question which was there is define homeostasis. I think this one came last year. Briefly explain the role of the organs in homeostasis. What is the role of the kidney in homeostasis? What about the liver in homeostasis? Then describe when and how the skin reduces loss of heat from the body. So all these, more especially the skin also. The skin, you need to look at the structure of the skin, the parts of the skin, and how they work in regulating that temperature. Okay. Then distinguish between open and closed circulatory system. So this is on circulatory system, which is transport in man. Distinguish between open circulatory system and the closed circulatory system. Then B, giving named examples, explain the term single and double circulation in double circulation. Then compare and contrast the structure and function of the arteries and the veins. So as you go through, please make sure that these parts, you know them. Some of you, you've gone through already this. So as I'm giving these questions, it's just a refreshing, or you're just refreshing. Then question 8, describe the sexual feeling. Explain the cause of sexual feeling. That is B. State the consequences of acting on sexual feeling without proper planning. So even this part, you need to know it. Then giving example in each cases, define the following terms. That is on question 9. Therapeutic drugs, narcotics, drugs, recreation, drugs. So this part also you might need to know it, although it comes in civic education as well. So this one, someone wouldn't struggle to understand it because it is learned more especially almost in two it is learned in two subjects. Suggest the dangers which may result from abusing drugs to change the body image. So also this one, get to know these parts. Describe the effect of the following on the ecosystem. So a question on ecosystem. Ecosystem is one of them that you need to look at. So what is the danger of the effect of the following on the ecosystem? Agriculture, deforestation. Then B, suggest how the effect described in above could be minimized. So this is the question that came in that particular year. Then in this year, what came is 1, define the term transpiration, discuss the factors that affect the rate of transpiration. I don't know if this one came soon. 2024, I think it wasn't there. So for some reason, I feel this part also on transpiration, especially the factors that affect transpiration, you need to know them. Explain the significance of transpiration to plants. Also, this part you need to know them, or you need to know this part. It might come section A or section B. Okay? Describe the functions of the main component. We are on to question 7. Main component of blood. 8 marks. So this question comes in different form, as we are going to see. So describe the functions of the main component of blood. So as you revise, please, it's not you now looking at the questions. No, there are quite a lot. No, these are topics that we are talking of. So generally, transport in plant, transport in animal, one of the topics that you should know. Okay, the component of blood, we have the liquid part and the solid part. The liquid part is made up of plasma. The solid part is made up of red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets. So that is what they want you to talk about, but each you should put it in a paragraph. Then question B, explain sickle cell anemia and hemophilia as blood disorder in human being. So as I mentioned the questions, you get to look at the topics. Then question 8, describe the differences or different method of propagation in plants. So different method of propagation. Explain the advantage and disadvantage of vegetative propagation. This one we've seen it at some point. So this one we've seen it at some point. So if you go through reproduction, the first part, that is where you find it is. Then question 9, define the term puberty. Then B, describe the changes that occur at puberty to both boys and girls. Then describe 2, determinant of puberty. Okay, so this is still on reproduction. Then question 10, describe the importance of factors that makes the soul fertile. So for some reason also, I feel soul is one of the questions that you might find. We are into the rain season, and looking at also as a country, we are trying to move from to add some, to look at the knowledge that we can obtain in terms of agricultural. So this part also could be one of the favorite topic for the examiner. Or on question, the last question, this is one of the possible questions that you expect to find. So please be expectant. So have a look at the importance factor that makes the soul fertile, and explain how the soul can be, soul fertility can be determined. How the soul can lose fertility. All those things, you need to look at them. Then for this particular year, the first question was describe the health risk associated with fetal development in humans. So this was on reproduction. Reproduction. Then describe the benefit and possible risk of using contraceptive and injection. So these are the parts that you need to, as you look at the topics. Explain other method of birth control in humans apart from use of contraceptive and injection. So how you are going to handle these all questions, because there are a lot of questions. So how you are going to handle them is just by looking at each topic. Just each topic at least have some information. I know you have the information, just have to refresh your memory. Then question 7, explain the component of blood. So this one, we've found it at some point. Investigate and describe the common blood disorders. 9. So blood disorders, know them. Then question 8, describe malaria as a disease under the following causative agent. 1. Signs and symptoms. 2. Method of transmission and control. So last year, I think this year 2024, I think there was also a question just like this. Now it was on bilharzia, if I'm not mistaken. So some of you were asking, I think one of you asked, what is a causative agent? Causative agent is just the agent that causes malaria. In the case of malaria is the plasmodium. Okay, that is the causative agent, a cause agent. Okay. Then question 9, with the help of named examples, describe the different types of skeleton. So types of skeleton, also on skeletal system, the question has been missing for some time. That is section B. So you might need also to look at different types of skeleton. Explain the function of the vertebral column. So also this one, just on skeletal system, the whole topic get to revise. And I did previously, I think a recording just answering some questions on a skeletal system. So that is a variable. Then question 10, explain the meaning of the following terms. So under ecology or ecological term, under ecology, the first part that you need to know are the terms. Terms such as species, terms such as habitat, terms such as community, terms such as population. Those terms, you should have them at your fingertip. So, like I said, question 10, one of the questions that you expect or topic that you expect is ecology. Then identify undesirable effect of water pollution by raw sewage. So, undesirable effect of pollution, also we came across such a question. So you need to look at this, that is pollution. Then for this one, explain the stages involved in testing the piece of onion for reducing sugar. Wow, this is one of the topic, this is one of the questions that some of you might not even expect. What are the processes involved in testing the onion for reducing sugar? So before it's too late, or before the exam, get to look at some information that are there out there. Okay, but what you're required to do here, you need to talk of the preparation for the sample, then also reducing sugar. You know that the reagent that is needed is Benedict solution, of which you put certain amount, then you do the heating, then you observe the color change. That is what you need to do. So you need to extract the juice from the onion. How do you eat? You can cut it in pieces, then you grind it, you get some samples, then you go with the process. Then explain the following nutritional disorders. So on nutrition also, I've not seen a question for some time. So this one was on nutritional disorders, goiter, kwashiorkor, leaf cirrhosis. So explain these. Now, what are the questions that you might expect on this one, or the information that you should look at? So in this particular part on nutrition, you need to know the that is nutritional disorders. These are the ones that we have here, some of them. We should look at dietary need, I mean, for different groups of people. That one might be the possible question that you expect. So dietary need, and also you look at certain deficiency diseases. Those things, you should be able to look at it. And also, yeah, I think it's nutrition in humans. We can end there. Then question 7, describe the processes of reproduction in frog. 8 marks. So reproduction in frog, one of the topic parts that some of you might not even think of. So you need to explain the whole reproduction in a frog. What do you need to know on this part? How it all happened, okay? Until fertilization occur, the way it occurs. How does it occur? You know that reproduction in frog is external reproduction, and it all starts by the male frog producing the croaking sound, which attract female. Then the male mounts on the back of the female. It produces eggs that is in water, and the male fertilize the eggs externally by producing sperms in water. So that is the whole process. Then explain how the production in frog differ from that of humans. You can talk of reproduction in frog differ in that of from that of humans, because even if it's sexual reproduction, it occur externally. Okay, it's external reproduction, while human is the internal reproduction. You can talk of, in those lines. Then describe the component of blood. 12 marks. I think this one I've explained. Component of blood. You talk of plasma in a paragraph. You talk of that is platelets in a paragraph. You talk of red blood cells in a paragraph. You talk of white blood cell. Talk of white blood cells, their shape, where they are produced, adaptations, and the functions. Okay, so those are things that you talk of on each. Then explain the following terms, types of growth with specific examples. Primary growth, secondary growth. So this is on growth. Explain the difference between tropism and toxic responses in living organisms. So this is the shortest topic as well. You need to know it. Then question 10, explain the following terms: abiotic factors in an ecosystem, niche. So this is also ecosystem. So one of the terms that I forgot is abiotic factor, and of course biotic factor, a niche. Describe the key features of an ecosystem in water body like lake, river, and pond. So on ecosystem, I've explained, I think I have a recording where I've explained a bit of some ecosystem there, the terms and all that. You might want to check that one out. But this is the topic that you need to know before writing the exams. Then in this particular year, the first question that was define aerobic respiration. So like I said, respiration is one of the target topic that you should have. Then describe the production of adenosine triphosphate, which is ATP, in cells of living organisms. Compare and contrast respiration in plants and that of humans. Okay, so respiration, one of the topic that you should know. Then question 7, describe the internal structure of the heart. So describing the internal structure of the heart, we are talking of what is found inside the heart and their functions. That is how you do it. Okay. Then B, explain the causes of coronary heart diseases. Explain ways of preventing coronary heart diseases. Then question 8, explain using named examples the following term: cranial reflex, conditioned reflex, spinal reflex. So this is on nervous system. Okay, so nervous system, one of the topic that you might need to know. Explain why each of the following reflex action are important to body of organisms. That is cranial reflex, conditioned reflex. So these parts, know them. Who knows what is coming? Then describe how an impulse is transmitted from one neuron to another. So that part also you should know it. Then question 9, explain the importance of fungi. So it's very important also to know the importance of fungi, that is on saprophytic nutrition. Okay? Distinguish between sexual reproduction and reproduction. With named example, describe the feature of dispersed, features of animal dispersed seeds. So like I said, the main reason for this video is just to give you exposure to the questions that you do not know that they may even exist. So the time that you still have, you can still do something. Then question 10, explain the meaning of the term conservation. So conservation is one of the topics that you should look at: biodiversity and conservation. So conservation, one of the topics that you should look at: identify the importance of conserving plants and animal species. So 3 topics that I talked of on question 10, or the last question that you're likely to find, that is population, biodiversity, and ecosystem. Let us add soil and also population. Population was there last year, so this time around, look out for biodiversity, look out for soil, look out for population, and all those pollutions. Those are the topics that you might expect on this particular part. Then now let us come to this particular question. Describe the movement of organic solute in phloem. Okay, so this part is on transport in plants, to be specific, transport of organic solute. Okay, outline the process of measuring the rate of transpiration using the potameter. This one, for some time, the question has not appeared, but you need to know how to do this using a potameter. Explain the factors that affect rate of transpiration. You need to know these. Then question 7, describe the internal structure of the heart. So just previously, we are just from looking at the internal structure of the heart. Though it was 12 marks, but this time around it's just 4 marks. So this shows what you should know. So this is transport in man. Then describe the factors that reduce immunity of the pathogenic diseases. Like I said, on diseases, immunity, you need to know it. Okay? Then explain the importance of immunization. So really, this part, look at it. Using named example, describe animal and wind dispersal of seeds. Then explain the importance of fruits and seed dispersal. So this one, we've looked at it already. So please, this on pollination and all that, you need to know this part. Then describe the functions of the following hormones: thyroxine, glucan. So where we are coming from, I said, look at endocrine system. Make sure that you know those hormones. So here you are given a question. Describe the function of each hormone. Explain the cause of short sight and how it can be corrected. So this is on our sense organs. Now on sense organ, One part of the, one sense organ you should know is the ear. For some time, I think I've not seen a question, so the ear, you should know it, and all the parts, the functions. Suggest ways by which deafness can be prevented in humans. So look at this information. Then explain the meaning of the following term, ecological terms, habitat, community, niche. Like I said, these terms, you need to know them. Using named example, explain what the food chain is. Okay? Then explain how energy flows through the food chain. So ecosystem, one of the topics you might need to look at. Then in this particular year, what is meant by the term good health? So there was health. With the named examples, explain the following terms. Genetic diseases, so genetic diseases, social diseases. What are these? Describe the causes, signs, and symptoms of bilharzia. So this one I think is, we are going to see that came in 2024. I think this one was one of the questions that was the one that was given. Outline the functions of the parts of the flower. Question 7. This is what I was saying. Outline the functions of the part of the flower. So that part of that flower that you see, it is very important. So you need to know the parts and their functions. And of course, maybe just to put up a simple drawing. Describe the characteristic of wind dispersal of fruits. Okay, so what are the characteristics? So this is still on dispersal, like I've said at some point that you need to know this part. Question 8, explain the meaning of the term sexual harassment. Describe way of resisting to sexual harassment. Explain the appropriate source of help sexual harassment matters. So this one, we can leave it to civic education. This is one of the subject that is compulsory in Zambia. So if there are people that do not take civic education, there are just a few. But this part, you need to know it before you write an exam. Then question 9, what is meant by the term hormone? So this one is on endocrine system. Like I said, you need to know this part. Describe the effect of underproduction of the following hormones, that is insulin, thyroxine. Then question 10, as always, like I've said, this part, the topics that I said, biodiversity and conservation, population, pollutions, and also ecology. These are parts that you expect here. Okay, although there might be some changes, but these are most questions that they bring at the end. Although I've seen some changes recently. Define the term biodiversity. So to be on the safe side, this topic or this part is the last part of biology. So most of them do not even know. I can choose from. I have much. Chances to choose questions. So don't take chance. Know this topic. Explain 4 ways of maintaining biodiversity. Then question C, identify the importance of conserving plants and animals. Then this particular year, describe 2 types of tissue respiration. So respiration came here. What are the adverse effects of cigarette smoke on the health of a human being? Question 7 was describe the process of excretion in human beings. B was the role of the kidney in maintaining balance, water and salt in the blood. So urine formation, that is excretion. Watch out section A, but also section B. Like I said, you never know. Okay, so watch out for this part also. Using named example, explain the spinal, cranial, and conditioned reflex. Describe the common cause and method of preventing blindness. So these parts, that is skeletal system incorporating with that is nervous system incorporating with sense organs. Describe the function of a skeleton. So skeletal system, one topic that you should know. Explain why the bone is considered a living tissue. Then question 10, explain the importance of rich biodiversity and show how the activity reduced biodiversity. Describe how the carbon is recycled within the ecosystem. So like I said, biodiversity, one of the parts that you expect, and also ecosystem, as you can see the questions. Then now, this is 2023, I guess, and look at how the numbering have changed. So there where we are coming from, section B used to start on question 6, because the whole paper, section A has 5 questions, of which the last question always is genetics. And I've done a recording on genetics. I hope you've gone through. If you've not, check out on the playlist, you'll find all the questions answered on genetics from 2017, I think, up to 2024. Should be even beyond, even the question, let's say, from 2015. So get to look at that. You might find it useful. So the numbering this time around has changed. There's question 5 now. So for this one, question 5, replacing question 6, which is state the 3 substances which a mammal can excrete out of the body. This is on excretion. Explain how each of the following substances mentioned is excreted. So what you've mentioned. So if you can't answer question A, then you can't answer this question. Compare and contrast excretion and osmoregulation. So you should be able to do that. Then question 2, describe the process of fertilization in flowers. Okay, so process of fertilization, how does it occur? So you need to explain how the sperm cells start growing through the to the ovary, and of course the whole process that occurs there. That is what to explain. Explain the process of implantation in human being. So should be able to explain. Describe the health risk associated with fetal development. Then question 3, explain the meaning of the term growth. Explain the difference. So primary growth and secondary growth. This question we have seen at some point. We have seen it at some point, but it's more like it's repeating. Okay. Then explain the effect of light, energy, and gravity on the directional growth of plants. So this one was one of its kind. This is the first time this question is coming. So be expectant also of new questions. That is the reason why you need to study in detail. Using 2 named examples, describe toxic responses. Then question 5 was on population. Explain the term population. Describe the factor that caused change in population. Okay, so this was on population. So population, you need to know it also. You might find it A or even section B. Then this one was also should be in 2023. Was it 2024 or 2023? Okay, so explain the role of a kidney in the following. So excretion, osmoregulation. Then explain one disorder associated with a kidney and its remedy. Then question B, I see, give 2 reasons why there is limited excretion of substances in plants. Then question 2, explain the effective way of communicating. Explain the effective way of communicating sexual limits among adolescents. Discuss the cause of infertility in humans. Explain ways of managing sexual pressure. Then question 3, relate life cycle of a mosquito to that of malaria control at each stage. So I have a question. That is where I answered question section A questions on the life cycle of a fly, a mosquito. Yeah. So there I explained some of the things that you need to know. So you might want to check it out. Explain the causative agent and symptoms of each of the following. Bilharzia, cholera. I think this one was 2024. So causative agent, like I said, this one, disease, one of the questions that came. Then describe the structure of human ear and explain the functions of the major parts. So the question that I was saying, I didn't know that it was there in this year. So this time around, let us say you expect it in section A. But even section B, you need to know the structure of the human ear and their functions. Explain the causes and method of preventing deafness. Identify parts of the synovial joints and explain their functions. Using relevant example, compare the ball and socket and the hinge. Okay, so finally, this one should be the 2024. So these that we've looked at, the 2 are 2023. So the numbering, like I've said, it has changed. This time around is 1 up to 5. Describe the cholera as a disease under the following. Method of treatment. So disease was here. Even here we had disease. Okay, so you see why I'm saying that sometimes this prediction might not be accurate. So if it was someone would say no, disease was there, but this time around it would not be there. So that's the reason why I want you to go through all the questions. Describe the movement of water and transport of minerals from the roots to the leaves. I think you found the question at some point which was talking of the movement of water and mineral salt from the roots to the leaves. Describe the adaptive features of a leaf that helps to reduce excessive loss of water. This question we've come across it at some point. So you see, these questions are not new. They are just repeated. So if you are to go through at least all the questions, I know some of the questions you know them. So if you are to familiarize yourself with all the questions, I can assure that you will not find it challenging. Explain the meaning of the term homeostasis. Then describe the role of the liver in regulating of high blood sugar, temperature. Then question 4, describe the menstrual cycle in humans. So the menstrual cycle in humans, explain the possible risk of contraceptive. So these questions that you are seeing, some of you might say, no, they cannot be repeated. You might find the same question. So it's to be on the safe side, you just have to know them. Or the topic might be repeated. Then question 5, explain how the plants and animal species are or can be sustained. Describe the factors that cause change in population. So this is population, but this seems as if it's on conservation. So please make sure that you go through these questions. So that is where we end. But of course, like I said, I'm going to guide you how to pick questions and how to plan your writing now. So picking questions, as you pick questions, make sure that you pick a question that you have a lot of information on or that you are comfortable with, because you might find that all the questions you know them, but as you pick the question, make sure that you have some information on that question that you've picked. For example, if they ask me a question, let's say I pick question 4, describe the menstrual cycle in humans, you should be able to write down some points, just some points that you're going to put before you go into writing. Okay, so briefly write some points. The problem of writing, you just start writing without planning, without putting some points somewhere, is that you're going to leave out, oh, I've left an important point. Then now your work is going to be jumbled. I'm not saying that on that answer sheet you start planning, you write. Even this question paper, I think they are not given back. So you can use the space that is here. So you just write the points in parts. Then you look at which one do you have a lot of points on. Then you can plan your writing. Okay. So that is what you can basically do. And don't forget to indicate the question that you've picked. So the whole part of the paper, I think it has examiner use and where you are supposed to indicate questions, where there's section B. You're going to see where it is written candidate use. So under that you indicate, if you've picked question 4, you write 4. If you've picked question 4 and 3, you start with question 4, then 3. It doesn't matter the order, but so long as you write answers that are supposed to be there on question 4, you answer question 4. Question 3, you answer question 3, then there's no problem. Because some of you, the questions that you have is that, can I start with any of the questions? Yes, you can start. You can start with question 4. Answer the whole question. But the problem comes in when you pick question 4, then now you find that you do not have points. Then you leave, the space that you leave is not enough to answer the question that you've left, becomes challenging. So make sure that when you pick question 4, you answer the whole of it. Then you go to, let's say you answer question 1 this time around, you answer question 3. You are just required to answer 3 questions. So if you are going to answer the questions and number them, then you have no problem. Otherwise, all the best. And if you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you are writing next year, these questions that you are seeing, come next year, I'm going to answer all these questions and everything will be here. So if you are writing next year, you are in grade 10, you are in grade 11, you might want to also subscribe to this YouTube channel so that we start together. So by the time we be next year, you'll be fully equipped. Otherwise, see you in the next one.